This is the long-awaited audio version of the book about my crazy idea to walk from Sydney to Stockholm and what happened along the way. I more or less promised a number of people that I would try to write at least something about the journey, and I've been surprised at the amount of interest people have shown in hearing about the walk. Deciding how to go about it and what to include has been difficult, and I've finally come to the conclusion that I don't want to write a normal travel book. Rather than give a chronological account, I've chosen to highlight certain moments or parts of the journey and write about them. Most of the chapters can be read as separate, small stories, but as a whole, they should explain just how incredible a part of my life this walk was and possibly still is. For those of you interested in the nitty-gritty, the route, equipment and the like, the coming appendix contains most of that information. From why I ever had such a mad idea, to what equipment I used for different places and the route I travelled. The 3 years I was out on the walk also included a couple of other trips. A 2,000-kilometre cycle trip from Hua Hin to Singapore and a 1,000-kilometre kick bike tour of the east coast of Australia. I'm not including them in this book, but will write separate articles about them instead. To make sure I keep working on the book, I've decided to publish the individual parts here on YouTube as and when they become finished. Eventually, the whole book will be available here and I will be able to curate a finished version. For now, the parts are going to be published in no special order and will be compiled into a final version first when they are all completed. With that, here comes the first chapter, the Mediterranean. Early in the afternoon on the 18th of December in 2013, I was slowly walking down the main street of Tarragona in Spain. The weather was nice, sunny and not too cold considering that it was December. I was just wasting time while I waited for the hotel room I had booked to become available, and I did not really have any specific goal in mind. As I strolled down Rambla Nova, I could see that the street ended just ahead. I walked up to the steel fence that marked the end of the street at the top of a small hill and looked out over a blue expanse of water. It suddenly struck me that I was looking out over the Mediterranean Sea, and not only that, I had walked here from Stockholm. I hadn't been thinking about the fact that I was about to reach a milestone in my walk, and the realization struck me suddenly and surprised me. There had been numerous times during my walk when people had asked me how I felt about having walked to Gothenburg, or Copenhagen, Hamburg, Amsterdam, London, Biarritz, or even Pamplona. And so far, my answer and reaction had always been the same. Sure, I'd walked a long way, but in the larger scheme of things, it was just a tiny portion of what I had set out to do, and I did not really feel any great sense of achievement. There was still so much to do, so many miles to walk. I only just started, only scratched the surface of what was needed. So I was quite surprised to feel a wave of emotion welling up inside of me. There came a realization that I was suddenly happy and content to be able to say that I had walked all the way from Stockholm to the Mediterranean. A walk of about 5,000 kilometers through the European continent. For the first time, I was able to feel that I had accomplished something out of the ordinary. It might have been that I hadn't been expecting or thinking about reaching a milestone in my project, and it had come so suddenly and without warning, but whatever the reason, I felt a definite sense of achievement. Even to the extent that I said to myself that whatever happens, if for some reason I am unable to continue and finish my walk, I can at least say that I walked from Sweden all the way to the Mediterranean Sea. And not only that, but be content with that result. I stood looking out over the blue expanse for a while, took a few quick snaps with my phone, and slowly turned around to try to find my hotel and see if my room was ready. With a new, and for the moment surprising feeling of being just where I wanted to be, doing exactly what I was meant to do.